When people hide their true feelings, it can be one of the most fascinating yet complicated aspects of human psychology. And the truth is, almost all of us have done it at some point. Maybe you've told someone, "I'm fine," when inside you were anything but fine. Or maybe you've smiled and nodded through a conversation, while your real thoughts were running in a completely different direction. Why do we do this? And more importantly, what are the subtle things people unconsciously do when they're trying to cover up their genuine emotions? That's exactly what we're going to explore today. Now, before we dive in, let me just say this. Understanding these hidden signs isn't about judging others or even exposing them. It's about awareness. Because the more aware we become of our own emotions and of others, the more we can build genuine, meaningful connections. And I think that's something we all long for deep down. So let's gently uncover the psychology of 5 things people often do when they're hiding their true feelings. As you listen, you might find yourself nodding, thinking of times when you've done these things yourself, or maybe recognizing them in people around you. One of the most common behaviors people fall back on when they're concealing how they really feel is forced positivity. You've probably seen this. Someone who insists they're great or fantastic, while their tone, their eyes, or their body language tell another story. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as surface acting. It's a way of managing impressions, presenting a positive version of yourself to the world, while burying what's actually going on inside. Why do people do it? Often it's out of fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being vulnerable, or fear of burdening others with their struggles. On the outside, the person looks cheerful and confident. But if you look a little closer, the laughter seems slightly delayed, the smile doesn't reach the eyes, or the positivity feels a bit too much. And if you've ever done this yourself, you know how exhausting it can be, because maintaining a mask of happiness drains emotional energy. In fact, research has shown that people who constantly hide stress or sadness behind forced positivity are at greater risk of emotional burnout. Another subtle sign that someone is hiding their feelings is overexplaining. Have you ever noticed when people give way too many details or keep talking in circles when asked a simple question? For example, you ask a friend if they're upset, and instead of just saying no, they go into a long explanation about how busy they've been, how they didn't sleep well, how they're fine really, and on and on. Psychologically, this can be a defense mechanism. It's almost as if the brain thinks, if I talk enough, maybe I can convince both them and myself that everything is okay. But here's the interesting part. The longer the explanation, the more obvious it often becomes that something is being covered up. Over-explaining is not about clarity, it's about avoidance. And it usually points to discomfort with simply admitting what's really going on inside. Now, another fascinating thing people do when they're hiding their feelings is giving mixed signals. This is when their words and actions don't quite line up. For example, someone might say, "I'm happy for you," but their tone is flat, or their smile quickly fades the moment you look away. Or a partner might say, "It's fine, I'm not upset," while slamming the cupboard door just a little too hard. These contradictions are called incongruences in psychology, moments when verbal communication and nonverbal behavior don't match. And because much of our communication is nonverbal, through body language, tone, micro-expressions, our subconscious often reveals what we're trying to suppress. The body has a way of leaking truth, even when the mind is trying to cover it up. That's why people are often more likely to believe your actions than your words. A fourth thing people do when hiding their true feelings is emotional withdrawal. Instead of expressing themselves, they shut down. Maybe they avoid eye contact, give short answers, or create physical distance in the conversation. Silence can sometimes say more than words. And in psychology, this kind of withdrawal is often linked to self-protection. If someone feels their feelings are unsafe to express, they may retreat to avoid conflict, rejection, or vulnerability. But here's the thing. While withdrawal may feel protective in the moment, it can leave both people in the dark. One person hiding pain and the other sensing something's off, but not knowing what. It creates emotional distance where closeness could be. And finally, perhaps one of the most telling things people do when they're hiding their true feelings is deflecting with humor or distraction. This is when someone quickly changes the subject, makes a joke, or uses sarcasm to shift attention away from their real emotions. Laughter can be healing, of course, but sometimes humor becomes a shield. It's a way of saying, don't look too closely, don't ask too much. And the deeper truth is that those who make others laugh the hardest are often the ones struggling the most inside. Think about comedians or entertainers who have openly admitted to battling depression. Sometimes the humor is real, but sometimes it's a mask. So, let's take a step back. Forced positivity, over-explaining, mixed signals, emotional withdrawal, and humor as deflection. These are 5 very human ways people cover up their true feelings. But here's the important part. These behaviors don't make someone dishonest or bad. They make them human. Because hiding feelings, in many cases, is about survival. It's about protecting ourselves from pain, rejection, or exposure. And if you've recognized some of these behaviors in yourself, that doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're navigating emotions in the best way you know how. But here's a gentle challenge. What would happen if we started allowing ourselves to feel and even express more honestly? Imagine telling a friend, I'm actually struggling right now, instead of forcing a smile. Or admitting, I feel a little hurt, instead of withdrawing in silence. These small moments of honesty can be scary, but they can also be liberating. They can deepen relationships, foster trust, and remind us that we don't have to carry our emotions alone. And if you notice these signs in someone else, approach with compassion rather than confrontation. Instead of saying, you're lying, try saying, I'm here for you if you ever want to talk. Sometimes, just knowing there's a safe space can make all the difference for someone who's hiding behind a mask. At the end of the day, we all want to be seen for who we really are, flaws, feelings, and all. And the path to that kind of connection begins with awareness. By noticing these signs and responding with understanding, we create the possibility for deeper, more authentic relationships. So as we close, I want to leave you with this thought. Hiding feelings might protect us in the short term, but honesty, gentle, compassionate honesty, is what heals us in the long run. And you deserve that kind of healing. You deserve relationships where you can be fully yourself and where others feel safe enough to be real with you too. If this video resonated with you, I'd love for you to support the channel by giving it a like, sharing it with someone who might need it, and subscribing so you don't miss more conversations like this. Together, we can keep learning, keep growing, and keep building connections that truly matter. Remember, you don't have to hide to be loved. The real you is worth being seen.